Welcome to this new lesson where we're gonna get familiar with the Adobe Premiere Pro, and if you ever used any Adobe program before, you're gonna feel quite familiar with that program too, because like most of the Adobe programs are all similar. Okay, without no further introduction to that topic, when you open the program, you're gonna see your recent files if you used it before, like these files. And you can start new project from here or open a project from your computer. Let's start by new project, for example. When you start with a new project, you're gonna see that screen. It's asking you for the file name. For example, you can give it Adobe Premiere. And here we have our general settings and scratch disk. You're gonna choose that one. If you have a powerful computer, you're gonna choose GPU acceleration, OpenCL. And if you have regular one, you will be on that one by default, and it's gonna really matter only if you're using large 4K files. Okay, and for the video format, display format, we're gonna leave it on timecode because that one is gonna be used for the most of the digital media we are using videos for. Those mainly gonna work with animation or even like a video that is shot on film with these characteristics, 16mm or 35mm. So we're gonna stick to timecode most of our videos. And we have audio display format, we're gonna leave it on audio samples. And for the capture, we're gonna leave it as it is, because like video capture or the capture format is when you have a camera attached to your computer or connected to your computer and you're gonna use it to capture videos within the Adobe Premiere. So we're not gonna use that option that much. And for the scratch disks option, we're gonna leave it as same as project as it is on all the settings. And this basically is that Adobe Premiere is always generating files like autosave, audio preview, video preview. You wanna keep them all in the same folder. And we're gonna start opening our project from here. We're gonna press on OK. And now we're gonna see that interface. And by the way, this is the most recent Adobe Premiere Pro CC. And if you have an older version, don't worry, most of them look the same. It's gonna be different slightly in some tool or another, not that much different. You can follow along, don't worry about that. We can adjust our workspace from here. You can go to window and workspace and choose editing. Okay, this one is the most common used interface with the Adobe, but we're gonna go through all those other workspaces. Most of the time you're working on the editing workspace, and those are shortcuts. You can go to any other workspace if you would like to. This audio, for example, and let's go back to editing. And even if you press on editing and it doesn't look the same like mine, you can go to window and check what's opened. Okay, so for example, we have audio meters is opened, and lumetri colors, program monitor, project and source monitor, timeline and tools, workspaces. And to understand the workspace, we're gonna see it in practical way, which gonna demonstrate everything about the project. Open recent, for example, we have the video I created for another course. Okay, this is how it looks like when the Adobe Premiere in action and has a project within it. Okay, starting with our project panel, this is like the layers panels in Photoshop, if you tried the Photoshop before. And if you didn't, it's basically your project's elements. So like you put your elements in here, and they could be anything like video files, images, or even sound waves or music or voice overs or anything, you will be in here. And even your sequence, which is your video, when it's put in here, it's called sequence. Okay, we will get to that in a little while, don't worry. But like I'm describing that part, which is your project area, you usually start by that area. Okay, so you import your files in here and you start dragging them over from here to there. Okay, so the other panel we have is the source panel, and that source panel is when you double click on anything. For example, here is our website address. You're gonna see that screen, and it's basically like you're previewing your project's elements in here. So for example, audio wave, you're gonna press on that, you're gonna see the waves, and you can choose your in and out point of that element in the video. We're gonna get to that also later. And then we have the effects control. For example, if you are choosing, you can add effects. This is a video file. You can add any effects for your video, like the position, the scale, rotation, and you can add even some animation to your element from that effects control. Okay, and also you can get to the effects from here if you would like to add more effects to your file. So this is different from the effects controls. Okay, but we will get to that later. We can go back to our project from here, which is our elements, video elements in here. And here we have the effects control, and you can switch from that little arrows from here. Then we have the program panel, which is displaying your video, and this is our timeline, where you can see your minutes and your project's time or your video time. Okay, for example, when we have some elements in here, we have our video to edit and we have our images and everything, and we want to start our project, we can drag our video from here and insert it in here, and then you're gonna start a sequence. Okay, and it's gonna look like that, and you have that timeline indicator which you can slide over to choose any specific second or frame of your project. For example, we have this project, for example, or this video starting from 0 till minute 30 almost, or at the end you can get to the end of the project by that, and you can start to move within your video like that, and press a space bar to make your video playing like that, and another space bar to pause it. And this part is our tools. This is a select tool and this is a razor tool, the most important tools of that program, and we're gonna get to talk about those tools also in a little while, but we're gonna go through the practical part and you're gonna know how the program is working through going very practical with that course. Because I really believe that if you're gonna make a project and you're gonna make that practical, you're gonna digest that subject and that program and you're gonna understand it really better if you're gonna apply what you're learning. So let's make that course a very practical course and apply what we're gonna learn through the lessons on our project. Okay, one more thing I want to talk about. If you want to resize your video or your panels, for example, you want to go like that or go like that to give yourself wider viewing of your project, because like if you have some text in your video, I want to see that, you want to go make that wide, and even you can reduce that. And here we have our timeline consists of video channels and audio channels, and you can adjust those audio channels by dragging that separator. So in here we have like video channels and audio channels, and they are used to arrange your items or even put some layers over each other. So if we think of that part as layers or project elements, this part is the real layers or like the real arrangements of layers. We're gonna see that in practical, don't worry about that, but like I'm giving you a quick description of the panels, and you can zoom within that project by that slider, and also you can zoom in here in the timeline with your mouse scroll or trackpad or touchpad of your laptop or desktop. And actually you can zoom in here if you would like from that part as well. We have scales, but always leave it on fit. So if you would like to adjust your workspace in any way you would like, for example, you want to move your tools and put them in here, okay, and you want to get them like that, you can go ahead and save that layout for later. For example, you can save as new workspace. For example, I'm gonna call it Khalil's workspace, and we're gonna save it. Okay, and that one is for audio meter. In here, if you have your videos playing, you can see your audio levels in here, and you can decide if it's too high or within the safe audio range or not. That's it for our lesson, and you're gonna get more familiar with the program within the next lessons. In this lesson, we're gonna talk about the project section where we're gonna import our elements. And it's simply done by many ways. One of them is to double click that part. For example, this file can be imported and you can import it to here. But I'm gonna delete this one and I'm gonna show you more ways which might be easier. Okay, now we have our folder which is having our files. For example, we have our videos, and you can select our video and drop them in here like that. And we have another way also. We're gonna delete that one and this one as well. We're deleting them by highlighting all the files and press on delete button. And we can also copy that folder. We have images, sounds, and videos, and you have them all in here. Videos, and we have our sound files, and we have our images. So always try to make your projects panel clear and organized to do your work in a very easy way. Okay, so there is another way also I want to show you. We can delete that one, right click and create new folder, which is called the new bin in here, and we can call that one videos, for example, and then we can copy our video files into that one. Okay, also we have one last way to show you that. We can copy the entire folder from here and drag and drop. Just drag your file and you got all your files inside training project. And one more thing I want to talk about, if you want to get anything out of that folder, you're gonna select that one and move it to here, and then it's out of the folder, or you can move it even to your videos folder if you would like to do that, but always try to keep your files organized. Okay, that was Khalil Ibrahim with you. See you in next lesson. Bye. Welcome to this new lesson where we're gonna talk about sequences and how to create them. Sequences are that part of your project which in a very simple way is putting your elements into your timeline and start editing your video and creating your project. Okay, so it's done in many ways, and one of the easiest way in my opinion is like you drag your file, video file, and put it in here. And here you go, even make that one a little bit shorter. This is how you create a new sequence. And now you can start editing that video. You can move your timeline indicator and start using the razor tool and cut your video. And we can create new sequence from here. We can press on new and we have sequence. And here you get to choose your sequence settings. And what does it mean, the sequence settings? Say for example you got a video that is shot by a DSLR or any other camera. You can use a setting for that one. For you have the digital SLR, you can choose 1080p, and for example 1080p with 30 frames, and you can start that new sequence. Okay, and once it's started, it's gonna be called sequence 1 by default. For example, the sequence we just created for the jellyfish video, we have 24 frames per second, and the sequence that was created was 24 frames per second. So you want to always make a sequence that matches your video settings. For example, you shot that video with 1080p, you're gonna use a sequence settings that is 1080p. For example, if you don't know about your video settings, the easiest way is to close that sequence, for example, and we're gonna close it from here. Then it's not deleted, it's already in here, but it's not active in your panel, and you can choose any video you have. For example, we tried that jellyfish and we don't know about its settings. Let's try, for example, the runner video, and we're gonna drag it in here, and it's gonna create a sequence for that video that matches those settings. Say you have many videos and they are not identical in settings, like jellyfish and runner video. So you're gonna use a sequence settings that matches the most used video. For example, that jellyfish video is like 1 minute and 50 seconds, and that runner video is only 12 seconds. So we're gonna create video based on our jellyfish settings. We already got that sequence in here, so we can double click that one and it's gonna open in here. So we have the runner sequence already in here and the jellyfish one, but the jellyfish one is empty because we deleted that video. We can add that video again in here, and it's gonna be added by default. Okay, and then we can add the runner video to that one, which is so shorter than the jellyfish, as you can see. Okay, if you want to know about your sequence settings, you're gonna go to sequence and press on sequence settings. You're gonna see that it's 24 frames and it's shot by Canon XF, and you're gonna see its sequence settings. Okay, there's one more way I want to show you how to create a setting from scratch, and that's by going to file, new sequence from here. And that, for example, we're gonna go through that template. For example, DSLR 1080p, we're gonna create new sequence. You can give it a name from here. We're gonna call it, for example, DSLR 1080p to keep our workflow organized. And we have the settings in here. We can choose or customize them if we want to, or make that dimensions different. And here, if you want to add tracks, audio tracks or video tracks to your file, and it's so easily done in the timeline, you don't need to do that in here. So let's cancel that. Now to keep our files organized, we're gonna create new file from here, new bin file, and we're gonna call this one sequences or slash projects or even edits. You can call it any name you would like or you feel comfortable with. And we're gonna move our sequences from here, and we're gonna select that one as well with command or control, and we're gonna move that one and add it into our sequences folder. And if you wanna duplicate any sequence, you're gonna right click that one and press on duplicate the sequence, and you got another copy of that sequence, because you might want to do some editing on that video and you want to try another art direction on another edit. So for example, we want to open that one. Let's double click this one. We got our duplicated sequence in here, and we can switch between them in here. Okay, saturation like that. Okay, so we're editing that one. And for the copy, it's the same. You want to try another art direction. For example, you want to try let's try that one for example, and here you go. You have two different art directions, and you can switch between them and see what you like the most and what suits your project. Okay, so one more thing I want to talk about in here in our videos, we have these files. Those files are without audio, as you can see, so they are only videos, and that one is video and audio. As you can drag that one, you're gonna see two channels, video channel and audio channel, but actually it seemed to be silent because you can see that from the waves, and you can zoom in to see your waves from here or zoom out with the scroll of your mouse or your trackpad, or even with the plus or minus on your keyboard. Okay, that's how you zoom in and zoom out, and it's very important in the editing to zoom in and out to see your waves and the areas you want to edit. And here we have another video with an audio file, as you can see, and audio waves, video and audio waves. So when you zoom in, you can start seeing, and when you scroll in here, you can make that clearer to yourself. So you can drag these files right and left, or that way or that way, or even make a file after another by that. One more thing I want to talk about, if we want to add more video tracks and more audio tracks, let's make that one smaller again. We're gonna drag that one up in here. Then you're gonna create another video channel. When you drag your audio track down in here, you add one more audio channel. So it's so easy to add more audio and video channels, and also you can get your file to where it was by that. Okay, that's it for our sequence lesson, and see you in next lesson. Bye. Okay guys, in this lesson we're gonna talk about the basics of editing, but before that I wanna mention something. This course is so practical course, and we wanna try what we're learning immediately on our computers. That's how we're gonna master this program in no time, and you will feel comfortable with these lessons. Okay, so in this lesson you're gonna find some resources for some free royalty free videos that you can use and try on what we are doing on that lesson. And if you want to use a video of yourself that you have on your computer, or a video that you already shot before, you can start by editing that video and try on that video, even if it's a screen recording video or any kind of video you have, maybe even a video that was shot by a mobile device. Okay, so for example, we have our folders in here that was imported before, and we're gonna open that video folder, and I have that video file that is a landing for Boeing 777 in Dubai that I shot myself before, and I'm gonna rename it because it's not organized this way to keep your files. Double click the file you wanna name it and call it Boeing 777 landing in Dubai, for example, DXB airport. Okay, hold that and put it into our timeline. And this is actually appearing because we used the jellyfish before for that sequence, and that one is 30 frames per second, while the other one is 24 frames per second. So you can change sequence settings in here or keep the existing settings. Okay, so we can try changing that one, and it will be changed to that new Boeing 777 landing. While you can see that in here, sequence and sequence settings, you're gonna see that it was customized to match our new video, became 30 frames per second. Okay, we have another way to, if you want to start from a clear and neat way, you can start new sequence from that video clip by holding that video file we have in here and put it in here to create a new sequence from that. Okay, so we have our jellyfish video, which we don't need right now. We're gonna close that one, and we have the 777 landing in Dubai airport in a new sequence file that matches that video settings. Here we have our timeline, and how to edit that one, we have this move tool and we have our razor tool. Those are the most important tools that you're gonna use for editing your file. You can move that file over and drag it in here, and you can add even more videos to that file. For example, that's a video file without audio, and you can use that timeline indicator to slide through your video or even to move to the other video. For the move tool, we use that tool to highlight our videos, select them, maybe drag them or switch them, or maybe use that one, click in here to unselect any file you have and move it around like that, and you will notice that the video will be snapping to the timeline indicator or to the video. And let's add one more video in here. For example, that one is a thunderstorm video, and you can see that files with audio files will be linked together when you drag them into your timeline, and even when you move it up they will be linked together, and move it down to the audio and video channel again, it will be together. Okay, so we can unlink those files if we want to move each one separately by right clicking the file and press on unlink. Now we will see that we can move our video file individually and our video file individually. Okay, if we want to do that, we can press Command Z, or undo any step you can press Command Z, and if you want to relink them again, you can highlight both of them, then right click and press on link. Okay, and if we want to cut through any kind of video, if we want to make any cropping or trimming to the video, we want to select that razor tool by clicking on that icon or pressing the C on keyboard for shortcuts, and those shortcuts really make your workflow easier. So for example, we're gonna press on C, so, and you start cutting anywhere in your video if you want to, and you can move these parts together or even delete that. Say you don't want that last piece of your video, gonna press on delete and it will be deleted. Say you wanna move that part and make it a little bit like that, we wanna put something in here or leave that as a gap or do whatever you would like to. You can delete that one as well. If you don't like that part of your video, you can undo that by Command Z, or even redo that by Shift Command Z, and you can redo what you did undo. Okay, so it might be confusing, but you're gonna try that on your computer and you're gonna find it will be much faster to do that with shortcuts. Okay, so one more thing I want to talk about. Also, there's a great shortcut that will save you much of time if you have your timeline indicator at any part, any specific part in your video, for example, and you want to cut that part. You're gonna press on Command K or Control K for Windows, and it will cut that part in your video. Say you want to do that again in here, Command K, and it will be cut in your video. Okay, now say we want to add some audio file to that earth scene we have in here. We're gonna go to our sound folder, and maybe we can choose that audio file and add it in here, and you can use that when you come to the end of any audio or video file. You're gonna see that little red bracket, which you can drag that to make the sound specific for that audio, or it will end when the video file ends too. Okay, and you can zoom in and out from here as well, or even from your mouse scroll. And if you want to cut through two unlinked files like this one, they are not linked together because it was added separately, we can use the C tool, which is our razor tool, and it's gonna cut only at one of them, not both of them. If you want to cut through both of them, you have to press Shift on the keyboard and click through them. Okay, you're gonna see that both of them are cut at that part. But if you want to cut one of them only, you're gonna use the eraser tool, and you're gonna see that it's cut through that part. Okay, say you want to remove that part from your clip and you don't want to drag your files again. You're gonna stand at that part and press shift and cut through them both, and then you're gonna highlight both of those files, then right click and press on rebel delete. That will be deleting those files while snapping those files to the rest of your video file. If you're not using that rebel delete, you will have to drag your files yourself and snap it together, and that will result in taking much time and effort. Okay, so we have one more way to edit our files, but before we add them to our timeline, let's go to our videos folder, and we're gonna try to add that video file, but not the entire file, just a part of it. We're gonna double click that part, because if you double click that part, you're gonna rename your file, but here it's gonna make it open in the resources panel. Okay, and you can go to the end of the video by that little icon, or the end by that icon. Okay, and that one, for zoom purpose, you can unzoom by getting that drag to the end, and use that timeline to choose only some port. We're gonna take only the touchdown of the aircraft from here. We're gonna start by pressing on I or in, and then after the touchdown we're gonna move all the way till here, for example. Okay, and we're gonna press on out, and that's our file we're gonna add to the timeline. So when we add that to our timeline, it's gonna start from the final approach before touchdown till the touchdown, as you can see here, and it's approaching, then it's gonna end at here after the touchdown. And if you want to drag only video file, you can choose that icon and drag the video file here without the audio, or if you want to add that video file alone, you're gonna drag it from here. And if you want to add that video file again to that audio, you can add it like that, and you can get them to be together like that, and you can sync them together by dragging that. It will be snapped automatically. So we have our audio and video file, and we can link those files again if you want to do that. And I want to tell you something, it's not deleted from the video. If you want to add more to that video, you can drag that one, and it's gonna add more after the landing. One more thing I want to talk about, let's say you would like to add that thunderstorm part at any part again, or redo that part in your video clip or in your project. You're gonna press on Alt key and then drag that one. It will be duplicated, or even file and copy, then move your timeline anywhere, then Command V, so you have like 3 copies of that file for any reason, if you want to duplicate anything or you want to try different effect. So one more thing to know about that part, if we have another video in here in another layer, we can hide that layer. Okay, there is one more thing I want to mention in here before you start applying that on your lesson. If you have any shaky video, or that video that you don't feel it's so steady, you can really work with that video and get the best results out of that video by very simple way. I'm gonna show you that right away, and that's why I choose that Boeing 777 landing. I'm gonna delete all of those, and if you wanna remove anything from your source panel, you're gonna right click in here and close. We're gonna make that all the way and press on I. So that's how you change your in and out points of your video. And we're gonna go to the end and press O, so we have the entire video again. We can use that video. Okay, so we're gonna delete that one because it was trimmed. Move our entire video in here, so we have the entire video, and we can zoom in. And it's shaky because it's an aircraft that's landing and it's not stable. Okay, here is one quick way if you want to make your video steady, and if you want to work on a video that you have on your computer and you really like that video but it's not so steady. So you're gonna go to that little arrow and choose effects. Okay, and you can type warp in here in the search, and you're gonna see warp stabilizer. Okay, then you're gonna drag that effect on your video. The Adobe Premiere is analyzing your video and now it's stabilized. So let's see what the program did. For example, we started before the touchdown.
100, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Now actually the Adobe Premiere made the movement much more smoother, but if you wanna make it even better, you're gonna go scroll in here. If you click on the video and scroll in here, you're gonna see stabilization in here and it's smooth. Okay, so you can make it no motion. Okay, and it's gonna stabilize it even better, or make even no motion. It might be cropping through your video and doing its own analyzation, but you're gonna see great results. Now let's see the new effect. We're gonna go back to that point, for example. Okay. And it's cropped,
100,
trying to make it more stabilized. Okay,
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
see, that's much better than the beginning. Okay, though the camera was really tilting due to the touchdown, but I see it's great performance for the program. If you have other videos, you can try with these videos. Okay, you can know about your video information from here, or the entire timeline. Now we are at second 48 and the entire video length is 56 seconds, and we can hide that video or that layer in here or video channel by toggling that, and we can mute the audio from here if we would like to. And that's much about the basics of the editing. We're gonna go through more, but I just wanted to tell you that you gotta start applying what you're learning lesson by lesson. That's how you're gonna make the most out of that course. Okay, see you next lesson and wishing you all the best. Okay guys, in this video we're gonna talk about the video transitions and we're gonna learn how to make them between videos. And video transitions are so essential to move from video to another in a very smooth way. Okay, so we're gonna go to effects tab and we have audio transitions and video transitions. We have 3D motion, dissolve, iris, base, peel, slide, wipe, zoom, and we have that very default transitions that we can apply between any two clips. We have that clip and that clip. Let's make the sound to mute. We have that clip and that clip, and we want to make that transition. We can go between any clips and right click and apply default transition. We're gonna see that cross dissolve effect, and that one for the video file and that one for the audio file. And that audio effect kind of make the both audios of the two clips blend together in a smooth way if you have a harsh transition. Okay, we can get rid of that one if you don't want it by pressing the delete key, and we can leave that one, the cross dissolve. And we also can try some of the most common transitions. When we search for depth, we're gonna see depth to black and depth to white. If we try the depth to white, it's gonna give us that white transition, and you can control that transition from here, make it even shorter or longer, and you can see the duration pops up when you try to slide that transition. And depth to black, for example, will be overriding that one and it will give us black screen. And we can try other transitions as well. Let's get rid of that search and press on video transitions. Let's try the 3D one, cube spin, for example, and you're gonna see that effect. Let's try the wipe transition, and you can try barn doors. You can go ahead and experiment with those transitions, and as you can see, it's like opening a door. And if you select a transition, you can control its effects in here. For example, we have the slide one, it will give us that transition, sliding transition. And you can try the center split, it it will give you that transition. And you can control the settings of that transition by selecting that transition, and we can make it so when you slide this one, for example, it's not gonna be a complete movement or transition. See how it looks. It fades that here. Okay, let's delete that transition and try adding another clearer video to review the color contrast between the two videos. Let's go to projects. Let's choose that runner video in here. Yeah, it's much brighter so we can see the difference of the transitions. And let's move to our effects. Let's try another transition. We're gonna choose that split, and it looks like that when you try it. And you can edit that transition by sliding that, and you can check that box to see how it looks like when you're editing your transition from here, as you can see. And you can add border if you would like between them. Let's make that one 30 and give it a color, different color. Can I change its color from here? Let's give it that color, for example, bright one. You're gonna see like some nice effect, and you can reverse that transition to be like that. Okay, one more thing to cover here. We're gonna get rid of that one, and let's try the depth white, for example. You can move your transition in here or even to there. Okay, so you can make your transition at the end of the file or even at the end of the video to make like nice fade out at the end of your video. This is the end of our project, and we can right click that part and apply default transition, and you're gonna see it fades out. Okay, and you can add that one also at the beginning of the video if you would like to. Apply default transition and start your project from here, then it's gonna fade in to start like in a smooth way. And for the audio transitions, we have crossfades folder, and that folder contains 3 transitions. The most common used one is constant power. You can add constant power, for example, at the end of your video to make it fade out in a smooth way. And if you can select that one and edit the duration of that constant power effect in here, or even add constant gain and see how it works. Or try that last one. And actually the 3 are doing almost the same job, but this one is quite sudden in cutting the voice, while this one is quite smooth. So try always the constant power. Okay, go ahead, try with those transitions. Not all of them you're gonna like. I really don't use most of them because they don't look that good, and most of them are outdated. They can get you in the 80s or even the 70s, and they look quite old. So not each and every transition is suitable for your project, but maybe you're working on a video that you wanna give an 80s impression, or even 70s or anything like that, or the 90s, the sweet 90s. Who knows what you're trying to do in your project, but you're gonna go experiment with that, and see you next lesson. Bye. Welcome to this new lesson where we're gonna talk about the effects control panel, and to know more about it we're gonna add new video from here. We will add that video, but we wanna create new sequence from that video to be matching its settings. And now we're gonna add some music to that video file. Go to your sound folder and choose high to low sweep, for example. Okay, and you can choose any part of that sound clip from the sources panel if you want to make in and out by pressing I in here, for example, and out in here if you want to get that part of that sound clip. And if you don't see it in here, you can choose it from here. Okay, so we're gonna add an image to that timeline, maybe that one, that image. I'm gonna place it in here. And now it's layering like Photoshop or any other Adobe program. This layer will not be visible if it has a layer on top of it. So for example, if you cross in here, you can see that the image is there. And that's how it works in layers. If you put any video on top of other video, the video channel 3 or 2 will be visible. So for example, if you have a video in video channel 3, it will be visible, and 1 and 2 will not be visible, and so on. Okay, so let's edit that image and see how it works in the effects control. We have the motion and position, scale, rotation, and opacity, and we have the blend mode in here. So let's start by scaling that photo. We have 100%, and we can slide that slider to make it smaller. Okay, can even make it smaller and start dragging it left or right, or even like that. Okay, there's another way. We can select the photo from here, double clicking that photo, and you start moving it around, or even start scaling that photo by here, pressing shift while dragging, or without even shift. It will be resized with the same aspect ratio. Okay, in order to make it distorted, as we call it in Photoshop, we're gonna unselect that one, and if you start dragging it without pressing shift key, it will be distorted. Okay, so you should be careful while using that if you don't want your footage or your video or your image doesn't look distorted and not proportional. And let's make this 60% and enter. Now it's gonna be enlarged. Okay, so like you have almost 3 methods to do that in the effects panel, and here you have the rotation, which you can rotate that image or even your video, and you can drop anchor point in here to make it rotate around. This one can be changed. As you can see, the digits in the anchor point are changing, and then you're gonna make rotation to make it rotate around that anchor point. Let's drag that anchor point a little bit inside, and you're gonna see that it's rotating around that anchor point. Okay, if you wanna reset anything, you can press on that one, it will be reset. So let's now enlarge that image and drag it. Then we have the opacity, and it has that little clock for animation. We don't want that now, we will talk about that later, don't worry. And for the opacity, let's make that one to 20%. And now we have our video playing, and the image will pop up with 20% opacity. So we can go make that back to 100%, and you can change blending mode. Now it's normal. We can make that overlay, for example, and it's gonna give you very artistic effect. Working with those blend modes can give you unlimited options and unlimited varieties, just like Photoshop, if you ever tried that, or even Adobe Illustrator. Unlimited art directions. Okay, so as you can see how it looks like, or you can even try the multiply, for example, and it's gonna look like that, while the airs look like that, and then you're gonna see the effect. Of course, you can do something different by adding another video. So let's try a cool effect by going to the videos folder and add that thunderstorm, for example. Okay, and we're gonna remove that audio file. We're gonna unlink the audio and video, and we're gonna delete that audio file, and let's move our image in here and put our video on top of that. Now as you can see, we have our video is not covering the entire image, so we're gonna adjust our video by scaling that one a little bit to 120. Don't go too much with the scaling because it might be pixelated and it will not look so high in quality. So always when you're increasing the scale, be careful with that one. Okay, so now we have the Earth video, then it's covered with that thunderstorm. Okay, let's add some effect to our thunderstorm and make it overlay, and now it's gonna be animated on top of the Earth. So let's drag this one a little bit like that and see how it looks like. See, there's like some lightning in the globe, as you can see that. And also you can try the multiply effect, for example. It's gonna be darker and it might look like another planet, not the Earth. And as you can see, once the Earth ended, the video looked normal again because like nothing to multiply on. So if you make it normal, you're gonna see no difference because it's not on top of another layer, okay? So using that blend mode can give you very artistic and very creative art directions, especially with two moving videos. The upper one is animating over the lower one. And one more creative hint you can try is to edit your video like that one without hitting the shift. So we're gonna cut only that video and cut that video again. Okay, and we can give that one some blending option different from the other. So let's make this one overlay and the other one multiply. And let's play our video. So that transition, that was really amazing. Okay, that was our lesson. Go ahead and try to practice that on your Adobe Premiere Pro and see you next lesson. That was Khalil Ibrahim with you. Welcome to this new lesson where we're gonna talk about Adobe Premiere Animation or keyframes. Keyframes are used to make some simple animations within the Adobe Premiere, and we're gonna see how to do them. They are so easy. Let's move that image, for example, above our jellyfish video, for example, and let's drag it all the way to here, okay? And as you can see, it's quite big. We're gonna make it a little bit smaller. We can double click our image from here and scale it, or even scale it from here. And we can start doing some keyframe for that image. We're gonna start by moving our timeline indicator in here. Let's move our arrows till we have our image visible, and we can start toggling our position in here. By clicking on that watch, you're starting animation by that little diamond, and when we move our timeline indicator in here or in here, you can change its position by that. And you're gonna see another diamond appears in here. This is our second keyframe. You're gonna see simple animation happening in here, okay? Of course, this might look quite slow. We can select our diamond or keyframe and move it a little bit to here. Then you're gonna see the movement is quite faster. Okay, you wanna make it even faster, you're gonna drag that one to a very short area like that. And when you start your video, you're gonna see quicker animation. That's about the position animation, okay? And you can even add another keyframe to make it go back again to its position by adding another keyframe. So, and let's make that one closer, and then let's move our slider. Let's see that. So it hits in here and comes back to its original place. This like a very simple example of doing animation. We can delete one of these keyframes if we want to. We can select one of these keyframes if we want to and delete that one. And even let's delete those ones. Now we have our image as it is, as it was. Now let's go to the scale. We're gonna go do animation. Let's clear that toggle and we're gonna click on scale. I'm gonna start our animation after a little bit. We're gonna change the scale. When you change the scale, automatically the Adobe Premiere will add another diamond. Make it, yeah, make it like that. And then the Adobe Premiere will automatically add that diamond for us when we change the parameters in here. So let's start our timeline for the image, because when you start from here, actually you're getting that at the beginning of the image. Okay, then we're gonna press on spacebar and we're gonna see a zoom effect happening within our image. So that's it for the scale. Let's highlight those keyframes and delete them, and no need for that. Let's turn it off. Now let's go for the rotation. And for the rotation, let's toggle our animation. We can start even our rotation in here. It shouldn't be happening at the very beginning. We can start it at that part. We're gonna toggle that one and then move it a little bit to here, and let's make this one clockwise 90 degrees, or maybe let's make it 180. Okay, then we're gonna see that in here, spacebar, you're seeing this being rotated. Okay, let's drag that one and make it quite faster by making them closer. And also you can add anchor points to make it, you can add your anchor point in here or here or here to make that image rotate around that anchor point if you want to. And yes, okay, we want to delete our animation. Now after we canceled that without deleting or reversing our action, it's already rotated 180 degrees, so we want to make that again to 0, or maybe enter 0 for faster action. Then we're gonna toggle that opacity and move our slider a little bit and add keyframe. We can add one from here, and let's make that one to 0. Then if we move that one a little bit like that and let's play, it's fading away. And you can also apply that on a video scale if you want to try that. Let's delete our image and go to videos, maybe try that earth video in here. Then as you can see, it's quite big. We want to try some little effect. We want to scale it. Let's be on effects, control, and let's scale that one, make it smaller like that. Let's do a quick animation in here, move it in here. Okay, so we want to make some animation, make our video come from here to that area and maybe enlarge after that. So from here to here. So we're gonna toggle position for that video in here, and within a very few seconds, we're gonna make it move in here. Okay, so let's play that and let's add some scale animation to that video by toggling animation in here. And then let's move our slider and make that scale, or even select our video and make it for the entire screen. And let's play that. You can notice something that happened. The Adobe Premiere automatically added another keyframe for the position to make the image move from here to here and center. If you want to make it smoother, always try to make it quite faster. You can spend some time on that, but eventually we'll get some nice results. Okay, so that's it for our lesson, and see you next one. In this lesson, we're gonna talk about a very interesting topic, which is color correction in the Adobe Premiere, and it's very powerful tool in that program. And let's see how it works. Now we are in the editing tab. We can switch to color like that, or basically go from the window and choose workspace and choose color. Okay, so now it got us into the audio clip mixer. We can make that on effects, control, or anything, and let's make that one a little bit bigger. And we can slide that timeline indicator by the arrows, for example right or left, as you can see. And we can move 10 frames by pressing shift and right arrow or left arrow to be moving or scrubbing through the video in a faster pace. Lumetri color, and I really love that section of the program, and it's opened like that on creative. We can close that one. When you open the Lumetri panel, it's gonna look like that. We have basic correction, and we have creative, curves, color wheels, HSL secondary, and vignette. So let's start by going to the basic correction. We can choose from some presets from here. We have, for example, Array Universal HD. You're gonna see that impact on our video, or even the Phantom Record 709, and you can see the difference. Okay, the cockpit instruments are more clearer in that one. And you can try with them on your video depending on your lighting and exposure and the settings you shoot your video at, and you can try that one. But for now, let's make it on none. And we have the temperature. We can make it even warmer colors, and that actually will add some spirit and some feeling to your video according to your needs. Or you can even make it cold. You can see the radical change in that slider. It seems like they are landing in very cold weather and maybe a little bit foggy outside, but in that it's like you're landing in the desert. Or I will keep that one on 0 to see the difference of our creative section. We're gonna duplicate that file, pressing alt and dragging our video in here, so we can see the difference of our output. And also I want to mention something, that there is no right and wrong in that. It depends on your feeling, your eyes, your artistic sense, and maybe your video requirements. Maybe you need to make a video that's like have some sepia effect or old effect, so maybe you want to give some cinematic look, maybe you want to give some old TV look, maybe you want to give some 80s or 90s look. So it depends on your desired effect. So let's go to temperature. Let's make that a little bit cooler, because I think it's much nicer like that. And we can add color tint either to magenta like that, or green. And be careful with extreme inputs like that. It's too much extreme unless you really want to make such a powerful effect. And we have the exposure to more light or darker, and as you can see inside we get more details we lose outside. So let's keep that one on a little bit to few degrees. And contrast, you can increase the contrast of your photo or decrease that one, the definition of your footage. Then we have highlights about the lighting areas of your video, gonna be whiter, or even reduce that one. And actually I'm gonna leave it a little bit like that. And then we have shadows, to increase shadows or decrease them. And we have whites, you can reduce whites or increase them. Actually I want to reduce them a little bit like that, -19. And we have the blacks. Actually you can add or increase percentage of black in your video. And here we have the color saturation for the video. It's 100%, and you can increase that or either decrease that to make it black and white, or even with faded color. And if you want to reset that, you can reset that, or either let the Adobe do you some calculations by pressing on auto. You can try that if you want to try that. See how the Premiere suggests some inputs for you. And actually it's so nice because you can see the instruments in clearer way. And to see the difference, we're gonna add that one over our original video, or let's say this one is the original actually, but let's delete that sound. I'm gonna put it up in here so you can see the difference between both of them. That's the original footage, and this is the Premiere's version. You can see the instruments are much clearer. So let's go back and select that file we are working on, because if you are selecting this one you will be editing that one. And let's close the basic correction and see the creative section, which is so amazing. You can add those filters to your video according to your desire, and you can see the preview in here. So we have that look, that little arrow in here, and you're gonna see different presets from the program. So let's go, for example, and choose the blue cold, SL blue cold, for example. And maybe you don't have to memorize them, but you can review them in here like that, and you can see them previewed in here. If you like any of them, you're gonna press on that Let's say you like that one, I'm gonna press in here and it's gonna be applied on your video. And if you have some effect in mind and you want to try to make it even in more intense or less intense, you can slide that slider in here to intensity over 100% or even make it reduced like that. So I'm gonna go back to 100, work with the sharpness of your video, or even make it blurry like that. So we need to add a little bit of sharpness to our video, but not too much, not to get so much grains in our footage. And we have the vibrance, as you can see the difference. If you want to make it pale or even black and white video, or so saturated according to your needs. And here you have two wheels, one for the highlight tint and one for the shadow tint, and by dragging that plus to any color, you're gonna change the range of colors. You're gonna make it look more reddish, or adding more magenta to the video, or even drag that one to the blue section. See, this one looks nice. You can add some magenta with the shadows. And let's go to color wheels, and here you have shadows, highlights, midtones, and you can also drag these wheels to some colors. For example, for the midtones, a little bit, you can drag some midtones to some color and drag the shadows to the opposite color. For example, we're gonna make the shadows to the yellow and the blue ones in the midtones, and add some highlights with another color or even one of the two colors. Then we have the HSL secondary, and mainly here I want to talk about the denoise and blur. Let's add some of that to your video if it's not in really high quality, or you feel it's quite grainy, or it's like a little bit harsh in some parts of the darker areas. And then we gonna go to vignette, and here basically you can choose to add vignette or even release it. Choose midpoints to change from here, and here you can make it even more square or round. And we have the feather to be sharp or smooth and soft. I think it's always nice to make it soft and nice. I'm gonna reduce a little bit of that and make it. And that's it for the Lumetri colors. If you wanna see the effect
300.
in here, it looks different from the original video. Like that was the original video, and this is the adjusted one. Looks much better and cooler, as you can see. So that's it for our color correction lesson. Go apply that on your project and get creative. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer you. Okay, wishing you a great day and see you next lesson. Okay guys, in this video we're gonna learn how to add titles to our video or typography. We can do that by pressing on that new item, and we can choose title, or from our file menu, or command T, okay, or control T for Windows. Now it's gonna give you that settings. You can give your title a name from here, intro, and we're gonna leave the other settings as they are because they match our screen settings for that video. So we're gonna press on OK. You're gonna see that screen. If you saw that title styles, you can close that panel from here, and you're gonna see that screen where you can add your title. So for example, we're gonna call it introduction, and we can use the move tool while we can type with the type tool or T, or we can move our title, or even we can align that title by those little icons, one for the vertical alignment and one for the horizontal alignment. Okay, we can choose our styling for the text. From here we can choose the font. We can go with the Arial, for example, that title bold. You can change its direction or opacity, or this is our positioning for the title, and you can move it with your mouse. And here, if you know about the typography, you can change your typography for the kerning, leading, aspect, font size. You can change your font size from here, and for your aspect, you can change it to make it even smaller in width. And then once you are done, you can close that panel, and it's gonna create your new title. You can create new pen in here, right click and new pen. Let's call it titles, and let's move our title in here. Then you can add that title at the very beginning of your video, and you can drag it to be filling larger section of your video. And by the way, you can do that to almost everything, a picture or title or even a video. If it's trimmed, you can extend it to its original length. So we're gonna make it just for that, and you can add apply default transition and apply default transition here, so it's gonna fade in and out, as you can see, and it's gonna fade out in here as well. And now you can edit that title or add a subtitle in here by double clicking that or double clicking the title in here. Okay, so you can access your title again, and you can add more text. So you're gonna press on T tool and then press about jellyfish. Okay, so and let's make that one font size smaller, and let's move it. Here comes a positioning rule for aligning. Oh no, I want it to be in the center, and let's make it a little bit down there. And that's how you add that subtitle to your main title. Okay, and you can also change its color, maybe in orange, and you're gonna see that added to your title. As you can see that they are gonna show together, and now you can control them from here as well, change its position or scale or anything like that. You can even add some animation for them. Let's go back, and you can add some animation or make them move. Okay, so let's try another thing. Let's edit our title. Sorry, double clicking in here, and let's delete that one and go out, and let's add another title by Command T or Control T for Windows users, subtitle. And you can see the original title, so you can imagine where you can place your title. Let's type the same thing about jellyfish, and let's the Adobe Premiere always make autosave, and let's make the font size smaller, regular as it is. And let's move it a little bit down. Here actually we have extra h, and let's Command A, control all that text, and add our nice orange again. Here you go, let's add that one, and then let's make it center text. And here we go, we have our subtitle in here. So we can add that one above our title, or even below that title, or even after a while. So like if you're gonna start, let's zoom in to see what we're doing in here. So our subtitle will appear a little bit after our introduction, and we're gonna add a fade in, and as you can see, introduction, and then the other one or the subtitle will show up. And here we can choose our scale of the video, either it's fit to screen or 10% or even 100% from the video, and we can choose our rendering quality, and it depends on your computer performance. Okay, let's create a new title, Command T, and let's call this one name. So if you wanna show someone's name at any time of the video, you can start adding a title to that one. 37, I will call it Khalil Ibrahim, for example, and make that one bold for the name. And then we're gonna duplicate that one by pressing on Alt and Shift, edit that text, Command A, and make that designer, for example, your title, and let's make that one in regular. And then maybe after that we wanna add some tracking to make it look even better. And now we can add a little rectangle tool below that in here, as you can see. Now let's make that rectangle looking, and we can either eyeball our color or put a hex color in here if we have the color code for some corporate working or some logo identity or anything. Now I'm eyeballing that for just trial. Now it's above our text. Let's move that one by arranging this one to be sent to back. And now we have our title in a separate title layer, and we can move that or even animate that later. We can make that one a little bit higher, or you can use the move tool, select the move tool and select all of them and start aligning them to the right or to the left, center, or anything like that. Okay, and that's it for our little title. And here we have it. Let's go put our name in here, and let's make our introduction ends in here. And then once our title fades in, this one will appear. Okay, let's customize this one. To double click this one and make it in here, we wanna show it in that part or maybe even at that part. Let's do a little bit of animation to start coming from the right to the left. Okay, toggle position and move it all the way to the right. Then within few seconds, and let's move it all the way to the left again in here, so it's gonna be animated after main title fades away. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. Play, and that one ends and this one will be appearing, and then we can make that one for a shorter time and add even default transition, and that's how it's gonna look like and fade out. One more thing I want to show you in here. Let's double click our title, and you can make that one, that little orange rectangle, to be filling the entire screen, and you can make that as a title or a different kind of title with a solid background. So let's get rid of that one, and let's say let's call this one Sea Life, for example, and let's center that one. I'm gonna exit our title. Let's delete the animation. Let's position that one in the center, and we can see that one in action. It's gonna look like that with a solid title. If you want to, you can adjust your text or your background. You can get rid of that one and make it even shorter, so it's gonna last for a very few seconds. And when you are dragging that, you can see how long it will be appearing on the screen. So that's it for our title lesson. I wish it was easy one. Go try that one on your project, and see you next lesson. In this lesson, we're gonna talk about audio editing and how to adjust our audio files. Now we wanna try the audio workspace. We're gonna hit that, or from your window. Then you're gonna select your audio file. You're gonna see that panels of your channels, audio channels, and you can raise that one to 6 decibel or even go as low to make your channel mute. Okay, so 6 is the highest and minus is decreasing volume. It's usually on 0, so we're gonna make that on 6. If you wanna raise the volume, and you can see that line is moving and on 0 it's lower at the medium. And here we want to open that audio meters because that one is so important. When it's being played, as long as you are in the green range, that's fine, but if you hit that red area, it's not good for your video. It's gonna affect your audio quality and it's not gonna sound good for the people who gonna listen to your video. So make sure that you don't exceed that part, and you can trim that audio actually with the pen tool. In here, let's go to our beginning of the video and we can select that pen tool and add anchor point in here plus, and add another one in here. Then we can drag that part so the volume will not be starting in a very high bass, then it will be inclining gradually. And then you can add even more anchor points like that, and you can make this one this one is quite high, you can reduce in here. Or even if you want to make accurate anchor points, let's undo that and add one in here and one in here and one in here and one in here. Then we can make that one a little bit lower if you want to, and so on. You can spend really some time on doing that, but it's very important for your audio quality, especially if you have a very big noise in your video or some bang or some loud voice. One more thing I want to talk about is that when you go to that panel, when you choose the audio track mixer in here, and you're gonna see that little arrow, you can add some filters to your audio in here. So you're gonna press on that, you're gonna see all those slots, and you can add some filter in each and every slot of those. Okay, going quickly at that one of the most important effects you can add to your audio, this one is amazing. Adaptive noise cancellation will give you a very clear audio to your sound, and you can adjust that. Usually 20 decibel is fine, but you can increase or decrease that one, or even adjust that number by dragging that slider, clicking your mouse and drag that one. And also you can close that one or enable that one and try while you're playing your video. Okay, we have also the equalizers from here, or even bass, high pass, low pass. And the high pass and low pass actually are against each others, but they are used to reduce the noise cancellation. But if you're using that one, it could be really enough for you, unless you have very high noise in your video. For example, the high pass, and check that one, it's gonna be added in your slots, and you can see that noise cancellation, we made that one to 1000. See the effect, and we're gonna hear it again without the effect.
200.
So if you see that it blocked the engine noise, and the more you increase that, it will make the voice lower. The lower you make it, let's make this one to 500 and see the difference, and press enter and let's hear it again.
200.
Disabled.
200.
And also we have the special panel which have the vocal enhancer, and this one could be quite nice with some voices, especially female voices. Okay, that's it for most of the effects you can add. If you want to close that panel, let's close it by that little arrow. And there is something that's so important. If you're making some effects or any adjustments to any channel, you have to keep all your audio files on the same channel, because like each and every channel has a different setting. So if you're working on some vocal narration and some music and some sound effects, it's gonna affect your output and make your sound quality bad or poor, because like you're gonna have some part of your clips in a very high volume and others in a very low volume, and some with noise and some without noise. So keep all your files within the same track or channel. And also one more thing I want to mention in here, that little mic can be used for making voiceovers, and that one as well you can start recording. And if you want to do that, it's simply done. Now I'm gonna record within that Adobe Premiere Pro, and while I'm using my mic, actually it's already recording for the ScreenFlow program. But if you want to do that, always make sure to hit the mute before you start recording, and then you're gonna press on that record, and now it's recording your voice. Once you see that recording, that means that you are live and you're being recorded. Okay, it's gonna give you 3 seconds. Sometimes it's gonna count that in front of you, but once you see that, you are already recorded. Okay, so when you're done, you press on the space bar and you have your new audio narration. Okay, so you can add that one in here and work on that, or add another video, or maybe add it to the existing video according to your project. And we can also mute any channel by pressing on that little M, and as you can see here, it's blocking that channel in here but not the main one. You can block the main one from here, and etc. Also, you can lock some layers from that one, so you cannot access them by mistake or do any mistake to that layer if you want to do that. And this one will make your track solo instead of stereo. And also, if you have two sound files that are identical, let's duplicate this one or and move this one here, for example, and we want to synchronize those audio files to be starting together and ending together. And this is really important if you are using a DSLR camera and a recorder or high quality mic, two different audios, and you want to get rid of your camera audio and replace it with your high quality audio. You're gonna insert both of them in the Adobe Premiere, but you want to synchronize them so they are matching. So the program is so smart that it's gonna synchronize them for you. You're gonna highlight those audio files and right click, and then you're gonna see synchronize. You can choose whether to track to channel 2 or channel 1 according to your video setting. Let's keep it that way for now. Let's press OK, and as you can see, they are both synchronized according to the audio waves. As you can see, let's scroll that one. It's the same audio waves, as you can see. One more thing I want to talk about, if you want to add some audio gain to your file, to your audio, for example, this one is quite short or high with some specific number and being accurate, right click that one and you can go with audio gain and then choose to add gain either by positive and like for example 4 decibels or 3 decibels, or even by minus like minus 5 decibels, and you're gonna see a reduction in total noise for that track. While on the other side, if we're gonna add, we're gonna press on 10 decibels, 9 decibels for example, and you're gonna see that these peaks are getting higher, but make sure they don't get in the red zone of your audio meter. That's it for our lesson. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions, go ahead and ask me. I will be happy to answer you. In this video, I'm gonna cover some of the Adobe Premiere cool stuff and tips. And let's start by adding a logo to our video or watermark. Here's our logo, for example. I'm gonna add it to our screen here. And it's in BSD format, Photoshop file, and you can add Adobe Illustrator files. They are all compatible together. Adobe family are working fine together. And now, because we have our logo separated in layers in Photoshop, you can merge those layers of our logo or even put them individually or as a sequence. So we're gonna merge all layers like that in here, and we're gonna create a new folder. We're gonna call it graphics, and let's add that logo in our graphics folder. So we need to add our logo on top of our video, for example. You're gonna see it's very big. We're gonna scale it and make it on some of our screen corner. So I double click that one. We can scale it from here and make it and then you can move that, and then I'm gonna move it and put it in here. Okay, here's one more trick I want to talk about, is how to make our video look quite cinematic. And this like done by some templates. You can download them from the internet, free cinematic look for the Adobe Premiere, or there is another way. You can create new title and with Command T, and then you're gonna use that rectangle tool to make two. Maybe we wanna make it black, and then we duplicate that one by pressing on Alt key while selecting the move tool, and we're gonna duplicate that one in here. Okay, maybe you need to adjust that one to make it a little bit wider in here, and this one will be wider. Maybe you should have made it wider before you duplicate to make it even more accurate, but that's fine for that. I wanna quickly demonstrate how it looks like. And then we go close that one, and we have our title in here. Let's move it into our titles folder. We're gonna call it cinematic. And then we're gonna add our cinematic file to our entire video, and maybe we need to make it even a little bit wider, so we're gonna double click our file. I'm gonna select that one, make it like that, and make sure to make the other one similar to this one, like that. And then we're gonna go back, and we forgot to extend our logo to be for the entire video length. As you can see, it looks so cool like that. It's like an action movie, I think. Okay, let's go and discover one more thing. Okay, let's try the speed effect. We're gonna go to our time remapping in here. And by the way, if you wanna disable anything, you can press on the FX or re-enable that by clicking on it. Then we're gonna go to time remapping and select our video, and then let's say we want to start making that video go very fast till the touch points. Let's say this is just before the touch point, so we're gonna get our slider to the very beginning, and we want to add some keyframe in here by pressing on that one. Then before the touchdown, we're gonna make it slow down a little bit, maybe till here, and let's add one more keyframe, and then right after we're gonna add another keyframe. Then at the very end of the video we need to add one more keyframe. Let's add one more keyframe in here, and then we have all those keyframes. We're gonna click on that arrow. We're gonna see the part in here. Let's make this one a little bit wider, and let's close that geometry panel, and let's make that part a very fast part of our video, and that part too. So if you move your slider, you're gonna see that the speed is 337%, and in here it's 100. Okay, and the duration of our video will be reduced. So let's play that. Everything is going in a very fast pace. Then just before the touchdown, it will slow down till the aircraft touches down. Then it will go in a very fast mode. Very cool effect. So it can be used in many applications. And we have those two arrows to make a gradual speed difference in here, so that will add some curve to your gradual speed. You can move that anchor point a little bit, and then let's make this one gradual. So by adjusting those, we can add that curve to make it even more smoother in the differential speed. And the other way, which is not limited to a speed, because this one has a limitation to its speed, and you're gonna see what I mean by the limitation. When you right click this one and you press on speed or duration, you're gonna see that the speed is 100%. You can make that one 300%, which will reduce your video length from 56 seconds to 18 seconds. And you can adjust that by sliding that into some specific seconds. Maybe you want to see the entire video in only 10 seconds. And then press enter. That means 10,000% will be shrinked to maybe in here. And you can reverse speed. And if you check that one, if the video got shranked, if there is another video, it will get attached or snapped to that video. Actually, this is the maximum speed that you can get out of that video, which is like not even a second, 16 fraction of the second. So let's make that one to maybe 20 seconds, like that. And then you're gonna see that video in a very fast. Now, because the aircraft is slowing down, so you feel the video is slowing down, but actually it's not slowing down. So you can use that effect in a very nice way if you have car racing, maybe aviation or sport or anything like that. One more thing I want to talk about, that you can download screen overlays and templates to your Adobe Premiere to use them on your videos or your projects to give them stunning and cool effects. Hope it was all clear, and if you have any questions, go ahead and ask me. Thank you so much for your time and wishing you all the best. In this lesson, we're gonna learn how to export our project and get our final video for uploading online or for any other reason we would like to use it for. And this is simply done by, if you have many sequences and you have your current sequence in active, and we have that sequence and the other one, so we're gonna choose our desired sequence and we're gonna press on I in point, and then we're gonna get to the end of our clip and press on O for the out point, and we're gonna go to our file, then export media, or command M and control M for Windows. Then you're gonna see that export settings, and we have our video in here. We can adjust our in and out points again from here. This is another place, like most of the things can be done from multiple places. And we have our video duration is 56 seconds, and our format will be H264, and we can choose from other formats, but this one is a high quality format that will be giving you a great video quality with a good size and the most common used for almost everything. Of course, you can get only audio file, for example MP3, and you can get a 4K file that matches the Apple settings. It's gonna be a .mov file, and you can choose that if you wanna get a file like that from here. Even TIFF file, but we're gonna stick with the 264 for most of our videos. And for the preset, we have many presets in here. We can leave it like that. It's gonna match our source, which is our sequence settings. I really recommend that you go and scroll down to YouTube preset, which is like 1080p HD. Okay, you have the 4K preset, but let's stick with this one because it's gonna give you a very large file and you're not gonna use it, and your eye will not tell that much difference between that file. So let's choose that one. You can also choose other formats, Apple, Android for quick access, or even Vimeo if you would like to. So let's choose YouTube 1080p. If you want to get a small file for a quick preview, or you want to send it to a client, or you want to just get a small file for any other reason, you can try that 720p for a smaller size, or even the 480p, but try that one, it's fine. It's gonna give you a much less file. And if you want to go with that, that's fine. I'm gonna tell you about another trick that will give you a very small file with a very high quality, which is using the program called Handbrake open source. Google that and get that program. It's called Handbrake, and it's amazing program that makes your high quality video in much smaller file without compromising the quality. So now we have the video settings in here, and we're gonna leave it as it is because it's a preset. We don't want to mess with that. But anyway, we have the width and the height, and if you change anything, it's not gonna be the same preset settings. But for example, we have target bitrate, which really controls the quality of the file. If you get it to 30, you will get amazing quality but with very large size, and if you make it to 103, you're gonna get very small file with some decent quality or good one. And 16 is good too, and so common, so you can use it for the moderate file size, and you can go to 30 for high quality and 1 or 3 for low file, and you can reduce that by reducing this one or choosing another preset, or even use the Handbrake software, which I really recommend for that. Then you're gonna use maximum render quality. It's not gonna affect your file size, but it's gonna take a longer while for exporting. Here's our output name. You can choose to save it in anywhere with your desired name, okay? And for that format file, it's gonna give you a MP4 file with a high quality settings, and it's gonna be suitable for most of your internet requirements. So we can export our file or even press on Q, which will get us into Adobe Media Encoder, which is basically used for exporting multiple sequences at the same time to save your time. So Q is like putting them in a queue, and the program will handle your sequences together. So you can for example, you have jellyfish sequence and the landing sequence and many other sequences, and you can add them to queue, and the media encoder will be exporting your files one after another while you are working already in the Adobe Premiere program. That's it for our lesson. I hope it was all clear for you, and I hope that you are so familiar with the Adobe Premiere program now. And if you have any question, go ahead and ask me. And I hope to see you more courses. That was Khalil Ibrahim with you, wishing you all the best, and see you. Bye.